Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirklees Guitar School. In today's electric guitar lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play the Riff for Grange by ZZ Top. At time of recording in December 2025, this is part of my Riff series, which is a competition I'm running on my Facebook group. Gives you a chance to win some prizes. The idea is that you take a clip of you playing any of these riffs that I post, and you put it in the Facebook group, and then everybody kind of chimes in. It's a good time. I'm giving away some really cool stuff. I'm giving away this Enya Nova Sonic Go carbon fibre travel guitar as the first prize. I've also got a couple of pedals that I'm giving away as well, one of which is a TC Electronic Ditto loop pedal and a TC Electronic Mojo pedal. So there's three prizes up for grabs for three separate winners, and anybody that wins one of the three prizes also gets a Kirklees Guitar School t-shirt in their size as well. You can head to the first link in the description that will tell you all about that and how to enter if you're interested. Alternatively, if you're just here for the lesson, head to the second link in the description and that'll take you to my website where you can download a PDF for this song completely for free. There's no sign-ups, I don't need your email address, I don't need anything from you. You literally just go on the website and click download PDF and it's going to help you get this across the line. So, there's two versions of this riff. There's this one here and this one here. Now, the idea is the first version of this riff is an easier version to get under your fingers for those of you a little bit more inexperienced, and then this one's kind of how they're doing it on the record. Let's have a listen to this first before we get going. Such a cool riff. So this is kind of where we're ending up with the rests and stuff, but what we'll do to start with, let's learn the bare bones version. So you see this is going to say from V2 to V1, version 1 and version 2. This is on the PDF that you can go and get from the website, second link in the description. So it's all based around an A chord with this kind of like boogie upstroke, syncopated kind of thing that we've got going on. So let's break down the first bar. We're going to start with a downstroke on the A string, just open A string. Now this is part of a wider chord where I'm going to fret this A5 chord here, which is open A, second fret on the D, second fret on the G. Now I choose to bar those, but if you can't get that bar, you can use two fingers and nobody's going to tell you off. The vast majority of this is based around that chord, apart from these two fellas over here, which we'll get to in due course. Now, like I said, syncopation, well, what does that mean? Syncopation means that it plays on what we call the offbeat. We count sometimes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The and in between the numbers is what we call syncopated, and it has this sort of... normally played with upstrokes, and it makes people want to dance. So that's kind of why I think a lot of people really like this riff, because it's really pleasing. We are going to start, though, on the downbeat to begin with an open A string with a downstroke. You see this little light bridge beneath where it says V1? That's telling you that I want you to go down with the plectrum to play that singular string. Then for pretty much most of them, apart from the last two notes, these little V notes mean upstroke. I want you to play these with an upstroke with your plectrum. So let's just chop these two fellas out to begin with. We're going to do a downstroke with the open A string, and then I'm going to play the full A5 chord, but I'm actually going to play from I'm going to play the G, the B, and the A strings. Sorry, the G, the D, and the A strings with an upstroke. So I'm picking down, and then I do an upstroke on that A chord, starting from the G string. Now what I'm going to do for the rest of that bar, I'm going to pick that first note there, and then I'm going to play 4 upstrokes with this A5 chord. Just practice that first bar. Again, this is a more accessible version. If you want the rest, skip ahead, it's coming. Pause the video, get that first bar under your fingers. If you're feeling okay with that, let's have a look at this bar here. Now, you see these, I call these washing lines. You see these lines connecting these two notes across the threshold of the bar line. Now, they're not washing lines, it's what's called a tie. Now, what that means is this note is not long enough, and we need to borrow a little bit from the next bar to make sure that we hang on the note for long enough. Because you play this for half a beat, this one for a full beat, this one for a full beat, this one for a full beat. And this should be a full beat as well, but we've only got half a beat left before we've got to go over into the next bar. So what we do is we borrow from Peter to pay Paul, okay? In English, what that means, whenever you see a note in brackets like this, you don't play it, because notice how they're the same as what's come before it. You're going to play this note and just hang on to it ever so slightly longer than you think you should, because it spills over into the next bar. When a note's got brackets around it, you don't need to play it a second time. So if we have a look, we play this 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the first bar, 1, 2. So we only play these two fellas. We don't play this one here. So what I'm going to do, we're going to draw an imaginary bar line here. We're going to worry about that 3 and that 5 in a second. I want you to play a downstroke on that open A string, and then I want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to play 6 upstrokes following it, using that A5 chord, all with upstrokes. Have a go at that for me. We're literally just tagging these two dudes on over here. And then to finish it off, I'm going to play the 3rd fret and the 5th fret. Now, what I tend to do is I will use my middle finger to play the 3rd fret with a downstroke, and then going to use my pinky to play the 5th fret still on the A string with a downstroke. Now, I appreciate, because I've got hands the size of shovels, I can hold that on, and that's okay. And I can reach, if you've got smaller hands or, arthritic sort of problems, you are allowed to come off that and play 3 with the index finger and 5 with the ring finger if you want. But I can hear Billy Gibbons is stretching that, because I can hear this A chord reverberating in the background. Anyway, I'm waffling. This is the beginner's easier version. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. If you're feeling pretty keen, this is the second version. Now, you'll see how there's not a lot that's really changed. Let's have a look. Let's play a bit of Spot the Difference. If you've got the PDF at home, do the same. This wasn't here, so we've got an extra upstroke on the end, and these funny-looking little 7 things, whatever they are. Right. These are called rests. So what that means is, after you've played each of these upstrokes, you're actually going to relieve a little bit of the pressure with your index finger actually touching the string, and you're going to make it, you're going to kill the note. So instead of doing this, watch my finger. Watch this hand over here. You see how I'm letting go? I'm letting go of the pressure. But also what I'm doing at the same time, I'm using this hand to mute the strings. So essentially what I need to do is, if we look at the first 3 elements of this bar, you've got open, chord, rest. So what I'm doing there, after I've played this upstroke, I'm going to touch the strings of the guitar, but I'm also going to let go a little bit. Not let go completely, but just enough to kill the note. And you can see when we get to the end of the bar, you've got 3, 5, and we're just going to sneak an extra little upstroke up there. Now, this is not going to happen overnight, all this sort of rests and stuff, but can you hear? If I play the first version, I play the second version, definitely, yeah, kind of tightens everything up a little bit, and I think that's what ZZ Top did really well, even just as sort of... They're a trio, aren't they? Correct me in the comments if that's incorrect. I'm pretty sure they're a trio. But just Billy Gibbons is such an awesome guitar player. Everybody should study some ZZ Top. It's awesome. But my what's important for me as a guitar teacher is I don't just teach you some cool licks. I show you something that's got a real lesson in it as well, almost like sneaking the vegetables in, you know? This is a lot like that because of that rest thing. You might not get it straight away, but please, please, please stick with it. You'll be really glad that you did, okay? Make sure you head to the website. There's loads of other riffs on there that you can check out as well, all of a similar kind of vein to this format. A lot of people tend to like this. Right, tones-wise, I'm using a Gibson Les Paul Standard today, which is it's my main sort of go-to blues rock guitar. It's a Sunburst Les Paul. It's an older one from the 80s. I love this guitar. It's pretty cool. And I'm using a Boss Katana Gen 2. I'm using it on the crunch setting, but with probably not as much crunch as you'd think. I'm using the Les Paul on the bridge pickup, and it's quite a lot of mid-range. It's got this kind of like snarl to it. A lot of that is there's not as much gain as you think, but I'm playing the guitar quite rough to get that sound with those upstrokes. I'll put the settings on screen now if I haven't done so already. And I'd try those, plenty of reverb. If you're using a Fender style guitar, still use the bridge pickup, but you might just need to put a little bit more treble in and a little bit more mids to kind of make it bark. With one more lesson to do for Riffmas, let me know down below what you think I should do, and I will see you in a couple of days' time for the final instalment of Riffmas. Thank you so much for watching.